those were the mostly videos on our YouTube channel in the past week. But we have again standing by from our Kano studios, Zaid Alaji. He is the national president of the Arewa Youth Consultative Coalition. Again, thanks for joining us on the program. All right, while we try to hold on with Zaid, let's quickly move to our studio, our guest who is joining us via Skype. We have with us Ayo Bankole. He is an expert in strategy as well as the convener of Lagos SME Boot Camp. It's a pleasure to have you on the program, Ayo.
Victor, it's good to be here.
Indeed. It's good to have you. So, I mean, pretty much we've seen the back and forth that has been going on, in terms of the collection of VAT. I mean, there's been court cases and, other states are also saying, they are going to also, follow suit, so to speak. But what exactly do you think is happening? And because from the look of things, it's not only about collection issues. There seems to be underlying issues surrounding all of this. But what's your own perspective on this?
Thank you. So I think that what's going on is, at the heart of what's going on is the justice behind the federal structure or the fairness or justice or equity behind the federal structure that Nigeria is. As I always say, that there are really no true federalism. There's nothing like true federalism in the context of the world. Federalism can vary as widely as how many nations, as many nations that practice federalism. And I've always argued that Nigeria has to negotiate its federal structure and adopt specific approaches or methodologies that work for it. Now, the way VAT is currently being administered in Nigeria was inherited from the military junta of General Ibrahim Babangida in 1993. He introduced VAT as it is, from the sales tax that existed before then. And as is the case with every military power or every military authority, the power to collect, that VAT was by default allocated to the federal government, even though it was not codified. But it was assumed that, since it's a military government, the center will be responsible, and then the proceeds will be shared amongst all the federating units. Now, the sharing formula is where the conversation now lies. Now, in the sharing formula, 50% of that sharing formula, 50% of whatever is derived goes to the 36 state governments, 15% goes to the federal government, and while 34% goes to all of the constituency units. And so, as it is, given that 50%, the bulk of the money already goes to the state government. So it is already by default a state benefited tax. However, what the problem is on the basis upon which that sharing is done. Only 20% of the basis upon which it is shared is based on contribution or derivation, while the remaining 80% is based on the principle of equity and population. So the conversation is, why should I be contributing the largest chunk and be receiving the smallest? So these are the conversations around it. At the heart of it is injustice, that states perceive to be the case. They believe that it is unfair for example, a Lagos state to contribute the largest chunk to contribute the largest chunk to VAT, while they are sharing on the same basis as, for example, an Osun state. So that's the conversation.
We've seen situations where, these purchases are made, say, again, like in Lagos, and it's consumed in Yola or Osun, like you made mention of just now. But, the tax returns are pretty much announced by their headquarters, wherever it might be. So don't we have issues as to how, we calculate the taxes, using this formula?
Okay, yes, you are right. And it's called the headquarter effect. That's a situation where organizations that have national coverage or national spread then file their taxes where their headquarters are located. And as you are aware, naturally Lagos State will benefit a huge chunk from this headquarter effect because telcos, for example, who contribute majority who contribute the largest VAT, have nationwide spread. I mean, they have customers all over the country. However, they file taxes, most likely will file their taxes from their Lagos base. Now, in a case where, what the advantage with these conversations now is that either approach that is adopted, either the states begin to collect, or we visit the distribution, model. The most important thing is that the headquarter effect will have to be watered down, because the same logic that the states are using to say, look, we cannot be contributing more and be receiving less, is the same logic that applies to the headquarter effect. Other states cannot be contributing to the VAT pool, and one or two states will be benefiting or would be receiving the accrual or the credit, will be taking the credit for such benefits. So if we redefine our VAT distribution model, then you have to also redefine the appropriation model for the VAT. So what this means is that if MTN, for example, or any of the telcos collect value-added tax, right, they would have to apportion the source, the location of such value-added taxes, and such contributions will be going to their states as against their headquarters.
All right, so let's even look at it now from the point of view of MSMEs. What would be the implication? Because as it is now, Lagos State is saying, they have even, signed that bill into law, and, they have their own percentage that, people would pay. I mean, what's the implication of this for small businesses? Okay,
so as it is today, small MSMEs already suffer a lot of, the ease of doing business is difficult. It's not easy doing business in Nigeria. You have to deal with multiple agencies for registration. You have to deal with, you have to deal with FX volatilities, a lot of things. Now, if this comes to bear, right, what would happen is that you would compound the ease of doing business for already frustrated MSMEs, because, and why do I say this? There are so many reasons. As of today, value-added tax is only one form of tax, which is a very complicated type of tax, right? And they deal only with VAT. Now, value-added tax requires input and output elements. And as of today, they deal with only FIRS. So it's easy to reconcile your inputs and to reconcile whatever refund that you need to do or whatever differences, because it's only one agency, right? Now, what would happen with MSMEs is that they would have to now start dealing with multiple taxation agencies, as many as 37, depending on how many reach or how many states you cover. They would also have to now register with FIRS, with LIRS, with OIRS, depending on how many states they have to go to Gongola and the likes, right? And then another biggest issue is that if I sell my products, if I produce my products in Gongola and I sell it in Lagos, right, I would have already paid inputs in Gongola, and then I'm coming to Lagos and I'm charging my output VAT, right? Now, the complicity here is at what rate? Because, the rates that the states are proposing differ. Lagos is proposing 6.5, Rivers is proposing 7.5. Now, at what rate do I net off the differences? How do we reconcile that, right? Which is why I'm proposing that, look, you can achieve the same result that you want to achieve, with balancing equitable distribution, if you simply say that, okay, FIRS can collect this VAT on our behalf, right? However, 100% net the 4% collection cost, right, should go back to the states that contribute those VATs So if Lagos, for example, contributes 2 billion to the tax pool, right, deduct 4% cost and send back the remaining to Lagos, maybe 80% to the state, 20% to their local governments,
local
right?
governments,
and then import-based VAT, or VAT that relates with foreign transactions can then be shared equally among the states.
All right. I mean, I believe this would be a continuing conversation. Hopefully, we'd get to a meeting point where everybody would agree on this. But you kind of actually cracked me up when you mentioned Gongola. But again, it's been a pleasure, having you share your thoughts on this very contentious issue, Ayodele. We'll take a quick break. I'll be back in a moment. Please stay with us.